Hey everybody, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here, and today we got to talk about big social media, the big ones. They're dying. I think this is an excellent thing, even though I may lose a ton of followers, as I'm already seeing on Twitter, and we'll get to that in a second. And essentially, here's what's going on. Giants like Facebook and Twitter, and we've all seen this, you can't tell me I'm wrong here, have essentially devolved into a chaotic mess of just basically shouting online against each other, sponsored content and all of that, and they're alienating users, especially in the younger generations who are jumping ship for smaller platforms. Studies now basically confirm what we've known for years, but we couldn't really quantify. They're basically killing society. We've seen rises, and I've talked about this before, in depression and suicidal tendencies in both teen boys and definitely in teen girls. What was supposed to bring us together of disparate views and all of that, essentially their algorithms prioritized anger and all of that, and so we ended up shouting and essentially devolving at each other. It's driven a wedge in society. There's been foreign intelligence, disinformation campaigns, confirmation bias is through the roof. Democratic values, are basically under attack in multiple countries around the world because, quite frankly, people do not understand how democratic systems and institutions work. There's a lot of issues with this, and Facebook's projected plan of, well, we're going to lose the kids because they don't want to be in mom and dad's social media, but when they graduate college and they're in their early young 20s are coming back, they're simply not. They really aren't. And so all of these things, not to mention whistleblowers, not to mention violations. I did an entire video on why Mark Zuckerberg should be put in jail. Instagram has been harmful to society. The worst people have come out, the most vain of us, the most self-entitled, et cetera, things I've talked about purely in the past. And so this is essentially going away. We're seeing basically numbers dwindle across the board of those that are adopting it, especially longitudinally from younger generations, not to mention the fact that Elon Musk, quite frankly, has made a mess of Twitter. The verification system, I just read a recent report, not fully, but I just glanced at the headline. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, that says something like 75% of just the absolute falsehoods that are coming out of Twitter, and it's usually hitting Twitter first before basically getting spread along whatever media ecosystem that is heavily biased for those people with confirmation bias. Something like 75% of that is coming from people with that new blue checkmark verification, because it's not actually a verification. Any idiot can go buy one for $8 and tweet out whatever they want and give themselves this false air of authority. And so a lot of this, not to mention charging $1 a year for tweeting to thwart bots, which is a total absolute junk, because there are platforms out there that you can use for authentication that keep people anonymous, truly anonymous, but also thwart bots due to validation. So that's BS too. Now, what is essentially happening is people are moving to niche platforms, either private or catering to them specifically. Discord, for example, Slack, for example, et cetera. So, I don't do anything personal online, for example. Internal to me and my ecosystem is a Slack channel where I can talk with people. It's not data mined. I'm not being advertised to. I can get exactly to the point, et cetera. And so why would I put out anything on public that could be data mined and therefore sold? Advertisers are left and right selling everything on the Facebooks of the world. That focus of bringing the world together is basically just lost in the name of profit. And I'm not knocking anybody for making a profit, but that circle of friends concept that social media was supposed to be based on basically was social networking, which converted into social media, which is why we have all of these ills and problems. And so this is a huge issue. And so future generations are moving essentially to niche things, and what they are doing is they're finding platforms that I think ultimately are going to drive us even further apart, because as you're platform hopping, et cetera, you're finding one with like-minded people. You're not actually willing to openly engage positively with somebody, let's say on the other side of a political issue or any type of issue or anything controversial whatsoever. And while we've seen a prioritization of anger on the Facebooks of the world, we can do that better. We have to live with our neighbors that disagree with us, whether they're online or in person. And so I think that as the big social media dies, we have to keep these things in mind. That said, I really don't feel like getting into exhaustive arguments with people that disagree with me as well. And so we have to figure out what the next phase of this is. But as these continue to basically bring out the worst in society, whether it's users or just, oh, I'm behind a keyboard and nobody can come and punch me or shoot me, so I can say the most horrible things ever because I have no sense of empathy or decorum, here we are. So I'll leave it at that. I'm just saying that basically social media in and of itself, especially the big ones, are dying. It's going to become more stratified, more disparate. Some of that is for good reason. It'll probably improve mental health. Others won't. And so we're going to see what happens, but we're entering a new phase, I think, in the next 5 to 10 years. And that's not to say the Facebooks and the Twitters will go away anytime soon, but what I'm saying is that anything productive on those sites is going away as well. I've seen that on Twitter. My feeds have decidedly become vastly more political when I spent a lot of time curating the content that I'm seeing to be as balanced as possible from around the globe. And now I'm seeing people on the far reaches of the political spectrum that are popping up saying just the craziest things in my feed, and I don't even follow them. Clearly this has been changed, and Facebook clearly just prioritizes whatever they want to prioritize, and according to that bell, I guess I'm done. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP, but probably not for much longer, and we'll all be in niche communities. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please attempt to stay private. Thanks, everybody.